All right, here we go for another edition of the PulseWave Report with yours truly, Dex the Algo Capitalist, aka the Vulcan, coming to you live from PulseWaveTrading.com, home of the world famous PulseWave price trigger reports that right now are on fire sale for the new year. If you want to start the new year off right, you got to go to PulseWaveTrading.com. Get yourself a hookup with these incredibly steep discounted prices. We want to help as many people as possible start the new year off right. So go to PulseWaveTrading.com, type in the coupon code and save substantial, but you're running out of time. You only got 2 days left. The offer ends on January the 7th. All right, so very late start this morning. My alarm didn't go off this morning, so I didn't get up. Yeah, overslept, ladies and gentlemen. It happens. Hey, I'm only human. What can I say? We do have some things that we need to talk about this morning, though. For one, we need to talk about what's going on with Georgia today and what's going on with the Electoral College. You know, we're going to get some kind of shock or what? What's going to happen here? It's still a lot of unknowns. But there are things that are known and no one wants to talk about it. So, you know, we're going to talk about it right now. I'm talking about it right now. Everyone's walking around here like they don't understand what's happening. Like they're shocked. They're shocked about Bitcoin. How could Bitcoin break the 30,000 barrier? I told you it was going to do that. How long must I dwell with you? How long shall you walk in doubt and unbelief? Let me tell you something, man. We don't do this for our health. When we give you these long-term price projections with the algorithms, it's for a reason. We don't pull these prices out of the air. It's not an accident. All right. This comes from over 2 decades of research, thousands and thousands and thousands of hours of research. All right. In the markets in real time with real money, not some jacked up analysis studies that people do. Oh, well, we did a historical back test and this is what happened. No. Forget that nonsense. This is real. This is real what we do here. So I told you to be prepared for the Bitcoin to shoot up toward the 35,000 mark. And what did we have happen? Boom. Then people got shook when the market sharply corrected yesterday. And now they're shook again. What's happening? I told you, we're entering into a 5th dimension of monumental proportions. I told you weeks ago that there was a major algo shift coming and that it will last for a very, very, very long time, complete with unprecedented market volatility. Did I not say that to you? Did I not warn you of this? I also told you that I see the major algo shifts coming in all markets, not just a select market here or select market there. No, I said all markets. And what do we have happening? We had the stock indexes hitting new all-time highs. We have the US dollar hitting new 52-week lows. We have gold trying to stop itself from free fall, and then silver waking up right with it, trying to struggle for survival. Silver wants to stay above 25 an ounce. Gold wants to stay above 1900 an ounce. All right. And going forward, the longer term perspective, if all things remain equal, without any major changes, the new low, the new support for gold will be 1900. The new support for silver will be 25. All right. Those will be new key supports moving forward What does that mean? It means you won't drop below that ever again in your lifetime. These algo shifts that are upon us are going to be very, very long lasting. And because the drums of war are beating loudly again, this is also having an effect on crude prices. Looks like crude is starting to say, you know what? I'm tired of all the market manipulation and all this stuff. I think I want to go higher. So, can we see a new support in crude oil at $75 a barrel? Meaning that we will never drop below that again in our lifetime? These are major algo shifts that are underway that will have a profound effect on how we live our lives. Not to mention, for the longest time, there was little murmurings at the exchanges in Chicago, particularly at the Chicago Board of Trade. There were these murmurings many moons ago about a famine that was coming and that there was some conspiracy with the mills. And they were saying, you know, we really don't have this many soybeans or that much corn or that much wheat. And then we started burning our food because the corn was being used for the ethanol. And at the time, this young man was speaking loudly. You know, this is back with the PDFs and all that. And he was putting up a lot of stuff, man. I think he even had a website, and a lot was going on. And at the time, I was like, I couldn't see it. I felt what he was saying because all his statistics and his facts were overwhelming. But I was like, but then the realities was like the silos are full, and we're awash in beans, and we got enough wheat and corn and beans for a couple of decades to come. We've just been having bumper crop after bumper crop, and the price and the commodities were very, very much muted. Now, if you take a look at the like 30-year cycle with the grains, you'll notice that in the last 30 years, the market has doubled in price, just about. All right. So, for instance, all right, we got beans in the teens right now. Okay. That's like the big thing when you have beans in the teens, and beans are in the teens right now. All right. So they're exploding. Soybeans are up 46 points right now as we speak. Back in the day, that was lock limit up for 2 or 3 days when you start seeing those kind of prices. All right, so I know things have changed as far as the lock limit rules, but I don't know what it is. It may be 75 points now, but the beans are exploding. They're on fire. This is what's happening. It is what it is. Now, corn and wheat are also exploding this morning, and there has to be some facts, some truth to what the young man was saying many, many moons ago. I guess it just took some time for it to come to fruition. Now, these reports were circulating about a decade ago. I forget the guy's name and I forget all the stuff he was talking about, but it's been 10 years. Okay, that was 10 years ago, maybe even a little less than that. And he was talking about this. And no one really wanted to deal with it. You didn't hear it on the news, mainstream news. You didn't really hear too much about it in the alternative news. They were just talking about it. There was also a young lady, you guys probably know her name. I call her the bee lady. She was talking about the honeybee crisis around the same time and how the honeybees were dying off, and this spelled disaster, for the human race as far as food, and it was a foretelling of severe famine. Well, the way that the grain prices are moving right now, the way these prices are exploding right now, I can't, you can't shake it off. You can't just easily dismiss it now. These prices are running, and it's at a point now where you have to stand up and take notice, and you have to do something about it. You have to start getting involved. All right, they're in well-defined bull markets right now, both corn, wheat, and soybeans. I haven't operated in the grains in a minute, but it's to the point now where I'm not going to have much choice. I'm going to have to start operating in it because these things are running. And I remember a movie a while back. I can't remember the name of the movie or what was going on, but the grain prices ran through the roof. So let me give you a little bit of background. All right, so we know how the stock market is disconnected from the economy per se. And we say that in a general setting. But technically speaking, if you really want to break it down, you will notice that the stock market is not necessarily divorced from the economy. See, people like to tie the stock market to like the job market, you know what I'm saying? The labor market. But here's the thing, you guys. If you take a look at the individual stocks, take a look at the stock market on an individual basis and say, okay, what's happening individually? You will notice that there are handwritings on the wall. So take a look again. We'll stick with the grains for a minute here. Grain prices are exploding. That means any company, any stock on the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ that has any dealings with the grain industry is going to see an explosion in its equity price, which means that you are going to become more oppressed when you go to the grocery store. All right. Now, there is a small window of delay, meaning that every day you go to the grocery store is not tied to the markets per se. Like right now, just looking at what the markets are doing today, you would think if you go into the market to buy food, because wheat right now is up almost 10 points, that that wheat product that you want to buy in the store will be doubled in price. Or for better way is the soybeans up 50 right now. So you would expect that anything with soybean in it would be double or triple the price, right? It's not tied to the markets like that per se, not yet anyway. But it doesn't take long for that to happen. There's a lot of unintended consequences when you start seeing markets move the way these grains are moving. This is your food. This is your livelihood. This is without this, you're not gonna make it. And with more people turning vegan and vegetarian, see, they thought they were safe because it's like, I don't eat meat, so I ain't got to worry about mad cow disease when that happens and all these other things and diseases you get from eating pigs and goats and cows and bats. All right. So they thought, hey, we good. We good over here. All right. We don't eat anything that has a mother. Yeah, but here's what you're not thinking about. Soy, corn, and wheat are in pretty much everything that you eat. If it's not a primary ingredient, it's used as a preservative type ingredient or used for flavor or taste or for some other purpose. But it is a fact that you can find wheat, corn, and soy in probably, I want to say 90 to 95% of the food products that you buy. I even learned that they use wheat in meat. When you go to buy ground beef, depending on where you buy it and who the processor is, they may use wheat in the manufacturing and processing of meat. Corn is used in just about everything as well, but from potato chips. I think I've seen some cornmeal or something with meat products, chicken, whatever. You cannot escape it. Wheat, corn, and or soy is in just about every food you ingest. So you need to be aware of that. You are not going to be unaffected. If you are straight vegetarian or vegan, you'd be like, all I eat is vegetables. Well, your price for your vegetables are going to go through the roof if these grain markets continue to run the way they've been running. Okay. So you need to understand how this is going to affect you. By the way, if you're in the live, go ahead and smash that like button for me. I want to say good morning to Mark and Oscar and Lucas. What up, peoples? You raised a good point in the live there, Lucas, as far as how everything is GMO and whatever now. See, everybody allowed Monsanto to get away with murder and to pretty much corner the grain market. You got to use their seeds now if you want to grow anything. You got to use some type of GMO because the standard heirloom seeds are not growing. They're not being allowed to grow. You be like, how can they control whether an heirloom seed grows or not? Oh, that's really, really, really simple. See, what happens is this. Their attack on the manufacturing of food was multifold. One of the tentacles of that was to claim cross pollination. So if the farmer next door was using Monsanto seeds, Monsanto would come and take your crop because you're using heirloom seeds and would claim that there was cross pollination going on and that the wind and the birds and the bees was taking their GMO and putting it over there with yours. So technically, your crop was their crop because they own the patent on their GMO seeds, on their Franken seeds that die after the first use. Unlike heirlooms, where you could replant your crops and stuff, year over year. With the GMO stuff, they basically are programmed to self-destruct so that you have to go and buy more seed. So they have taken over the grain industry, period. They cornered the grain market with that. And of course, everybody allowed it to happen and allowed it to go forward. Why? Because they had very deep pockets and they had a lot of lobbyists, a lot of powerful lobbyists. And it's funny how a briefcase can get people to pretty much dump their morals and their ethics. All it takes is a fat briefcase. So they were able to pay people off. They were able to install one of their own at the FDA. That's correct. The head of the FDA that they had in there at the time used to be a big wig at Monsanto. So you had now the crazy people running the insane asylum. And they allowed this to go on for a very long time, enough time to get them to have a foothold on the industry, a chokehold, a stranglehold on the industry. So now the GMO industry pretty much is everywhere because the heirloom seeds, they made it so that you can't find any. They bought them all out. That was another tentacle to go out and buy the seeds, buy them all up. All right. So that's what they did to make sure you couldn't find any. And then those that did have someone was using them, they would claim cross pollination and lawsuit you to death and cause you to basically lose your farm and stop planting. So whoever they couldn't buy off, they just destroyed in lawsuits. So there's a very systematic approach that they use to corner this market. Then the next thing they had on their team was the U.S. government again. Very deep briefcases, deep pockets, hiding under shell companies and behind legislation. There was stuff with pork that favored them, and one of these things that was the biggest pork project that favored them was, of course, the geoengineering. And of course, they were pro geoengineering because by spraying all these chemtrails, it made it impossible to grow your heirloom seeds with all the disease and blight. All right, the heirloom seeds couldn't overcome that, and all the magnesium and aluminum and barium all up in the soil. All right, so they had cornered the market. They got the chemtrails on their side and they got the government on their side. They got law enforcement on their side. They had it all going on. They had everything sold up. They had the game sold up. So with that now, here comes the marketing. You see, your programming, your propaganda, your MK Ultra mind control is not complete without the commercialization, without the program, without the solutions using media. So they had to use that. So now they tell you, hey, you know, support your farmer, support your local farmer. What you don't know is there's no such thing as a local farmer. The farming industry is big agri business, and they were very smart. They knew that, you know, in little small areas with very little population, if Mr. Farmer Brown was a staple in the community and everyone loved him, so what they would do, they didn't want to put him out of business. No, no, no. They would come and hit him with that briefcase. Look, man, we want to pay you to stop doing what you're doing, and we want you to do what we want you to do. So we want you to go ahead and start planting our GMO crops. All right? We're going to pay you to do that. So pull up all that other stuff and start using these GMO. And we're going to pay you 10 times what you were making before. Hey, you'll be able to take care of your family, blah, blah, blah. Simultaneously, they're running ads all over the world. You know, support your local farmer, and they'll put people, you know, on the screen looking like Farmer Brown, the guy from up the street, the old man, the grandpa. You know, there's no such thing as that anymore. It's all at big agribusiness. They own all the crops. They own everything. They own all the farms, but they want to give you the impression that it's the little local farmers that are, you know, at risk if you don't support them and pass bills through Congress on their behalf and blah, blah, blah. Don't forget, too, back in the day, they used to pay farmers not to plant certain crops. All right, but that's the old dinosaur way of doing things. Now that, you know, you got big agribusiness taking over now, you don't need the government to do that anymore. So they come in and now everything's GMO. You're going to be using these GMO seeds and there's nothing you can do about it. There were videos that were posted here on YouTube some time ago, many moons ago. I don't know if these videos have been taken down, but some individuals were able to capture USDA organic certified crops being sprayed with crop dusters, which is not supposed to happen if you got a GMA cert with a USDA sticker on label on your products. You're not supposed to be using any pesticides or herbicides or any kind of sides. No cyanide, genocide, herbicide, pesticide, none of that, fungicide. You're not supposed to be using none of that. Supposed to be straight up organic. But nope, there were photos, there were videos. Forget the photos. People had videos uploading where they showed it. And it's supposed to be an organic crop. Nah, the organic crop was a crop. It was fake. So it's gotten to the point now where you don't even know where your food is really coming from. You don't really know how your food is being grown and handled. All right. So everything now is big agribusiness, and you need to be aware of this. You need to know this going into it. Big agribusiness. This is what's up. This is what this is. So where does that leave us? Not too many options. Now that the grain market is running, I think we're about to go limit up here on these soybeans. We're up 56 points now, ladies and gentlemen. All right. And for those of you that don't know, the S&P is the equivalent of the soybean market. Soybeans move like the S&P. Back in the day, crude oil would move also. S&P crude oil and soybeans were pretty much 100% correlated and moved in similar fashion. All right. Not necessarily correlated in the sense that if one moved, they would all move up together. No, I'm talking about the way the price action behaved. Not to mention that the S&P and the soybeans had the same point value, which is $50 a point. So they had similar movements. So like if you missed a trade on the S&P, you might have been able to make it up in soybeans. That's how tight the algos used to be in these markets. So right now, soybeans are running, S&P is flat. It's only up 4.25 points. But soybeans here are now approaching 60. So you see what I mean? this is a situation, ladies and gentlemen, that could have catastrophic unintended consequences. Everybody's running around scared of COVID mutating into the walking dead, but you're going to get there faster when there's no food. Or even if there is food, you can't afford to get the food at any price. So this is a problem, ladies and gentlemen. All right? A big problem. A very big problem. Okay? So you need to understand this. We got problems. We got bigger problems than this whole COVID situation. But make no mistake, they're going to use COVID for the rest of your natural life. You're going to be living under COVID conditions and the threat and fear of COVID. It is the perfect mysterious disease manufactured by man to push forward an agenda that will have unintended consequences. And it's really funny because we got this, this satanic body that thinks that, they can control everyone's destiny. But they're going to realize how out of control things really are. Then they're not in control of anything. All right. At the end of the day, they are not God. They are not in control of anything. The only plan that is going to prosper is his plan, not their plan. But he will allow for things to take their logical conclusion. Because, man thinks he's infallible. He can do whatever he wants. He can be his own God. And those consequences, well, we've seen them throughout history, haven't we? So absolute power corrupts absolutely. And that is why you're seeing this incredible infighting, which is an embarrassment to the United States. You got the shadow government beefing with the visible government. And that's why we're here with this election peril that we find ourselves. Who is the true president? Not that it really matters. It doesn't matter who is in the White House. They could put Kermit the Frog in the White House and things would still go the way that they're going to go. The president is just a spokesperson. He is not a dictator. He is not a king. His word is not absolute. All right? Therefore, we have something else that moves policy. And it's not even Congress, and it's not the House. Again, these are just optics for your benefit. No, it's the powers behind the office. It's the people who get the people elected that is the true power, that is the true government. All right? Follow the money. Who backed who for their campaign run? That's where the true power is. You better believe it. So where does that put us? Puts us in a very tight space because we cannot ignore what is happening with this food. Now, we've had beans in the teens before. This is not some all-time high. Like, oh, man, I'm scared to death. I'm shook. Oh, no, the beans. What do we do? No. But it is concerning. All right, the run is concerning. Because if the rumors are true, then we could be in a lot of trouble. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hey, man, the market is a lot bigger than the United States. The United States is just the United States. We got things are going good overseas. You got everything going good in Bolivia, Argentina, and Uruguay, and Colombia, and all over. We good to go over there. We ain't got no problems, man. We ain't got no problems. We ain't got no problems. And I hear you. I understand that the U.S. is not the only game in town when you're looking at it from a global perspective. But we do produce a lot. Okay, so what we go through here in the States, as far as that concerned, it may not be a concern for people overseas, but it's definitely a concern for everyone that is in the United States. All right, so understand that. You're at the mercy of whoever you import from. That is always the case. Prices can be jacked up on you for no reason because you don't grow your own. You don't manufacture your own. You are in a perilous place. Now, see, the U.S. is able to get away with what it got away with for all these decades because it had a very powerful military and nuclear warheads. So if you try to do that with them, they say, well, we'll just bomb you to death. We'll just bomb you into oblivion until you give in. So if you don't have the military might and muscle to defend and go after someone and take someone else's natural resources, well, you're at their mercy then. They're going to charge you whatever they want to charge you, and you have to pay it or your people starve. Food, water, and energy. Those are the three pillars of a society. All right. If you want to be a modern society and not a third world, dark ages, middle ages, okay? If you don't want to be in that department, then those are the three pillars of a modern society. All right. Back in those times, in the Middle Ages, in the Dark Ages, energy was not on the table. It was just food and water. But because we have technology, it's now food, water, and energy. And there are multiple energy sources. We have the sun, right? We have wind, right? So wind, solar, and believe it or not, water. It has already been demonstrated beyond a reasonable doubt and put out there for the world to see that water can be used as an energy source to run an engine. More than one person now has actually designed a car and drove around with it, and it runs on water. So water can be used as an energy source, just like wind and solar. So water, wind, and solar, all right, can be used as energy sources, or should I say alternative energy sources to shell, to, fossil fuels. But fossil fuels are very important because even if we take the energy debate off the table, energy is not our only issue. Our next issue is manufacturing. Crude oil is involved in just about everything you can imagine, from synthetic drugs, medications, medicines, to the petroleum jelly that you use as Vaseline, chapstick. Petroleum is everywhere. Plastics. Pretty much everything that you see tangible within 10 feet of you has some plastic in it. The device that you're listening to me on has plastic components. All right? It's made of plastic. So you can't ignore petroleum altogether. Petroleum is still going to be extremely important moving forward. So you will never do away with petroleum altogether because it's in every product that you can think of. Plastic is everywhere. Plastic is everywhere. Now, I know what some people will say, well, you ain't necessarily got to use plastic, man. You can use cannabis. It's been demonstrated that cannabis has 1,000 purposes and uses. You can make furniture with cannabis. You can, instead of using, plastic, we can start using cannabis. That too is true. Cannabis has thousands of resources you can use with that too. You're right. You're right. But you get my point. If your country does not mine and or manufacture those things yourself, you're at the mercy of importing it from others who do, who can. That is how things work. And if you don't have an army, if you don't have modern warfare, if you don't have a navy, and then you don't have an active military, you don't have those four branches, the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, if you ain't got that, and you ain't got stealth bombers and stealth fighters, if you don't have your own Navy SEALs, well, then you're at a supreme disadvantage, because whatever your natural resource is that is important for survival and for the the comfort of the human species is going to be come and taken from you. That's what the wars are fought for. You think wars are fought because somebody told too many your mama jokes to another sitting president in another country? They're not going to war because he called my mama this or that. No, no, no. You go to war because such and such country has that crude oil, and you don't have it. Or if you have it, you have very little of it. And they have a lot of it, but they don't want to give it to you. Therefore, you're going to war because you're going to come and take it now. Vice versa. Hey, that country has all the sugar. Or that country has all the sugar and all the salt. Our country doesn't have any sugar or salt. We're in trouble. We need that sugar and that salt, but they're killing us with these prices, and they won't negotiate, and we're just at their mercy. Yeah, but we have a military and they don't. You know what? You're right. Let's go take it. Okay. That's how that works. So the fight for resources is going to become heated up in the near future. The fight for resources. Now, you've heard it debated that certain resources are finite and running out. And there's some truth to that. Because we are talking about, at the end of the day, we're talking about scarcity. Scarce resources with alternative uses. That's what it all comes down to. So it's about hamburgers and French fries at the end of the day. You know, people want their salad, people want their hamburgers, and people want their French fries. Or should I say fish and chips? People want their fish and chips. And they're willing to drop bombs to make that happen. When a nation is starving and they have an active military, what are they going to do? They're going to go and find somewhere where they can go and attack and take it. So, ladies and gentlemen, I put this on the table today because this move up in prices is very, very concerning. Here we are flirting, getting close to the $14 handle on soybeans. Once we get to the $17 handle, that's pretty much a wrap. Because now you're getting close to those historic highs, and you really, really, really don't want to see that. No, you don't want that, fam. You don't want that. You do not want that at all. Okay? So something has to be done, and it has to be done pretty quick. Or the U.S. is going to have other issues to worry about. You dig what I'm saying? So definitely something to be concerned about, ladies and gentlemen. Not necessarily to be alarmed about, but definitely something to think about. All right, going forward. Something to think about, be concerned about, be aware that we got problems. All right, the food is a problem. You can't run out of food. You just can't. All right, so something to think about. Wrap your head around. Where do we go from here? Is there some truth to the rumors? Is there truth to the rumors? Is there problems brewing that the American public just don't know about or aren't being told? What's really going on? And again, where are we going from here? Where do we go from here? What's really going on? I think people are going to really start asking those questions. So I just wanted to really address that today. I wanted to put the bug in your ear about what's really going on. People right now are just focusing on Bitcoin. The move in Bitcoin is not a secret. I've been telling you about it for months. I gave you the exact price where we're going. So we're here now. Okay. Bitcoin is not your problem. All right. The world moving to a digital currency, one world currency, is also not really your problem. The problem is this food. So get to the grocery store while you still can, because it ain't looking good right now. It's not looking good. All right. Just figure out, put the bug in your ear, and, let you know what's going on and where I'm seeing things from my perspective, especially things that people are just not talking about, things that people don't want to talk about. And we discuss those things here. We don't run from anything on this program. We don't do it. Not on this live stream. We're going to go there. We're going to talk about the uncomfortable things that people don't want to talk about. We're going to deal with it. All right, so that's all I got for right now. Okay. You're probably going to want to really think about what I said and start getting prepared for it. All right, so with that being said, you know what it is, man. Take advantage of the discount before they go away. They go away on the 7th, which is in 2 more days. PulseWaveTrading.com. And remember, bulls make money, bears make money, but pigs get slaughtered. So remember to take what you can and give nothing back. And I'm out. Peace.